Hi, this is Beth Secord at the College of Southern Nevada, here to talk to you about thinking fast and slow. I hope that you've purchased your textbook either in the bookstore or through Amazon.com or some other source. It's a great book. And if you would, please begin reading chapters 1 and 2 of the book. Chapters 1, 2, and 3 all discuss the two systems of mind. So this is Kahneman's theory about how the mind works, his psychological theory about how the mind works. And he nicknames these systems, systems 1 and 2. They're his little easy to remember nicknames, so 1 and 2. The fast thinking is the system 1, the slow thinking is system 2. So let's talk about these two systems of mind. These two systems of mind will be a theme throughout the course. The slow thinking is the slow thinking part. System 2 is the critical thinking part of the brain, and system 1 sometimes gets in the way. So this will be a theme for our course. Okay. So there's one way that thoughts come to mind. So if you would just take a second and jot down what thoughts, what ideas come to mind when you see this picture. If you saw this woman in real life and at a distance, what words do you think are about to come out of her mouth? Now, you probably jot down that you know that this is a woman, you know that she's angry, and you know these things as quickly and easily as you know that she is a woman. These ideas just come to you. The knowledge just happens to you. You know immediately and without any effort that this woman is angry, and you can predict what she's about to say. So knowing that she's angry is knowledge that happens to you. It's not something you decide to do. You don't sit down and try to figure out that she's angry. These ideas just come to the mind unbidden. And you probably can predict what she's about to say. And this happens really easily. It doesn't take any effort. So what about this? What comes to mind when you see this picture? Take a second and jot down not only what comes to mind, but also what sort of reactions you have. So if you're like most people, you probably drew back from the screen a little bit. Your heart rate might have gone up. These are all immediate, intuitive reactions. Danger comes to your mind right away. What about this? You immediately draw back. That's intuitive. You think disgusting. And most of the time, system 1 will automatically give you the right answer. So you see this on a billboard, you see this on the screen, and what do? You know 4 right away. So system 1 is the easy system, the intuitive system, and it gives you the answer, the correct answer right away. Here's another example. If English is your first language and this is written on the side of the bus or a billboard, you will read it without thinking. You'll say the bear, and a picture of a big fuzzy thing will pop into your head, or whatever picture you associate with bears. And this happens without any effort. And this is an example of a system 1 at work. If you already know how to drive a car or ride a bike, you don't have to think about what you're doing when you're doing it. So if you have some sort of skill that you've mastered, knitting, cooking, swimming, driving a car, riding a bike, if you're good at those things, you don't have to think about it. So your system 1 is at work when you're driving your car. So you all probably have had this experience. You leave work, and your mind's someplace else, and all of a sudden you arrive home and you don't remember how you got there. But you must have been alert and aware as you were driving home, because you didn't get into any accidents. You stopped at every red light. You stopped when the cars in front of you stopped. So you did not have to consciously think or engage your frontal cortex to get home. This is something that you've already mastered. It takes little effort to do. Now contrast this with another way that thoughts come to mind. So this is a different system of the mind. Take a second on your paper to work out this answer, to figure out the answer. So you see 24 times 17 on a billboard. Does the answer immediately spring to mind? No. So take a second to jot down the answer. I'll do it just to make sure that I give you enough time. Oh, geez, it does take a while. Okay. So how did you figure out the answer? If the answer sprung to mind without any conscious effort, then you are not a typical human. You might be a math genius. What did it feel like to find the answer? I'm wondering how many of you at home just said, I'm not gonna figure this out. It felt, and for those of you that actually went through the work, it feels effortful. It feels you have to intentionally focus your attention. So coming to believe that 24 times 17 is 408 is not something that happens to you automatically. It's something that you invest effort in. It's something that you do. The experience of multiplying 24 times 17 is effortful, it's intentional, there's a sense of agency, will, and attention. So that means that you actually have to exert yourself. You don't sit back and have the answer come to you like you did with the answer to 2 plus 2. In fact, a lot of people will decide, hey, I don't want to put in the effort. And they just, maybe guess or estimate that the answer is 400, 20 times 20, which is pretty good. But it takes a lot of effort, and it actually depletes your will, it depletes calories, because your heart rate raises as you're doing math problems like these. So solving a math problem takes physiological effort. So as you were figuring out 24 times 17 on your page here, your pupils, so if there had been a camera on your eyes, your pupils would have dilated. If there was a heart rate monitor on your finger, your heart rate would have gone up. If you had electrodes on your skin, you might have perspirated just a little bit. So actually doing math burns calories. So system 2 is very effortful. So we've been talking about these two systems of mind. System 1, the use of system 1 is really easy. It's automatic. You don't have to exert any effort. Answers just come to you. You can read a billboard that says the bear while you're doing something else. It's passive. So it's something that happens to you. It's not something that you do. The answer 4 comes to your mind without you having to actually sit down and write out 2 and plus and 2 and count them on your fingers. It's fast. The answers come to mind really fast. And this is important because System 1 evolved to keep us alive. So if we scroll back to the picture of the snake, what if you had to use System 2 to figure out if this was a threat or not? So you'd say, okay, green, fangs, long and slimy, or not slimy, long and scaly. Its pupils are round. Therefore, it's poisonous and I should get away. By the time that you use System 2 to figure all that out, you would have been bitten and the poison would have been working up toward your heart. So System 1 helps keep us alive. It's fast, it's easy, it operates while we're doing other things. So if you're jogging and putting a lot of effort into jogging, you can still read a billboard in your native language. It operates without our awareness. So when I showed you a picture of that woman, you know that she's angry without investing very much attention or energy at all. So you could just be walking by an office, see your coworker in there with that face, and you would know she was angry without even becoming aware of it. Here's another example. You knew that she was a woman without having to consciously think that she was a woman. Even so, you would know she's a woman. A police detective might ask you later, was it a man or woman? You could call that up into your mind, into your awareness, but you might not have consciously thought, oh, she's a woman at the time. It's energetic. So a lot of times using this intuitive, fast thinking process feels really good. It feels really energetic. Yeah. And it's also intuitive. So a lot of our intuitions about other people's feelings, about whether we should avoid the person with the vomit, whether we should run away from the scaly thing on the ground, comes from this intuitive system 1. And it's impulsive. Okay, so contrast that with system 2. So system 2 is called on when the math problem switched from 2 plus 2 to 24 times, what was it, 24 times 17. Finding out the answer to that takes a lot of effort. It's deliberate, so it's not something that happens to you automatically. You have to actually decide to sit down, get out a pen and paper, and multiply out longhand the way you were taught in the 3rd grade how to multiply 24 times 17. Or go look for the calculator, and that is a deliberate act. Okay, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to find my calculator. It's demanding, so it takes a toll on our physiological system. Our heart rate goes up, our pupils dilate, it burns calories, and it drains your resources, mental and physiological. It's slow, so the answer 4 comes really fast to 2 plus 2. The answer 408 took a long time to find, or it took me, well, yeah, it took me a long time. It only operates when with our cooperation. Oop, typo. It only operates with our cooperation. So system 1 is operating all the time, whether we want it to or not. System 1 is responsible, we'll talk about racist generalizations, but system 1 is sometimes generating sort of racist, sexist generalizations for people who are racist and sexist. And these things are happening below the surface. Judgments about people, judgments about whether people are male or female, judgments about whether they're angry or happy, all happen below the surface without our cooperation. System 2, though, will kick in. System 1 will call on System 2 when it can't figure out an answer. And System 2 must be operated with our help, with our attention. System 2 tends to be lazy, so because it takes effort, because it burns calories, we tend not to want to use System 2. So when I taught this class last semester, a lot of students didn't actually, when I asked them to figure out 24 times 17, didn't actually do it. And I said, how many of you didn't actually do 24 times 17? Because it takes a lot of effort, it tends to be lazy. And when System 2 is lazy and it relies on System 1 for decisions which System 1 is not equipped to make, that's where flaws in thinking and biases will creep in. System 2 is needed for critical thinking. System 2 is analytic, so that means it's responsible for deeper thinking, for thinking that goes on in our frontal cortex.